Hi everybody, welcome back. This is the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast. My name is Tyler Janin. I'm here with my co-host, Dallas LeDuc. So Dallas, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, we've been trying to clean a little grain, playing around the yard here. It's such beautiful weather here in southern Saskatchewan. Their snow is almost all gone. Of course, when people are going to hear this, they're going to say snow, because this one probably won't be out till Mayish. So playing in the yard, cleaning, fixing. Did a little quadding with my daughter and I the other day and looking for some deer sheds. We had zero luck finding deer sheds. We couldn't find anything. And she went for a rip this afternoon and come back with a sweet little non-typical match set. So that was awesome. So then just about that, just work and getting ready for spring seeding. Or if you're listening to this, the end of seeding, I hope.
Did you end up with much deer damage in your yard this year with the cold weather and the deer not being able to find feed?
They had no problems to feed. The bales, there's 250 bales north of the yard. We only had 5-6 inches of snow, so the home quarter here is hay, so the deer have good picking out here and slough grass and stuff. So we don't get much deer damage in the yard on these drier winters.
Yeah, so see, we had a lot of snow. Probably, if the wind didn't blow, I'd say we probably had close to 2 feet of snow here at our place this winter. And as we've talked before on this podcast, we do have cattle here at our farm, but even with the feed yard there, we suffered quite a bit of wildlife damage in our yard with the deer and whatnot. And unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do about them other than putting protection up on your shelter belt. Like legally, you can't shoot them. That's a big no-no out of season or without tags, so not going to do that. You're not supposed to chase them, and you can't get a dog to chase them because that's a no-no, so you kind of just got to put up with it.
Well, I know crop insurance will pay for, we had grain out over winter the one year. They paid pretty good for grain damage, for deer damage and deer shit in the grain, but it's just a pain in the ass. Speaking of pain in the ass, we should introduce our next guest. I'd like to introduce Dylan Tellier from up by northern eastern Alberta. Dylan, welcome to the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's our pleasure. So usually we start off with this. We don't need to. We want to know a little bit about your farming history, your past, and how you got to where you are and where you plan on going.
Right. So my name is Dylan Tellier. I'm a fourth generation farmer / rancher up in Bonnyville, Alberta. So we always joke and say our next farming neighbors are the Russians because we're kind of at the end of the world up here. So I've been involved in farming my whole life. Pictures of me in a diaper riding a horse and all sorts of pictures of me riding in cabs, watching movies. So it's definitely been a big part of my life. Once I finished high school, I went to Lakeland College in Vermilion, Alberta. I took crop technology there for 2 years. I graduated and then I did meat processing in Olds, Alberta. So they put on a little 4-month meat processing course. You get a certificate and you learn everything from slaughter to final preparation, and I really enjoyed that course. You learned a lot. Instructors are great, and Olds is just such a nice part of the province. That's a little bit about me, and I've just been farming ever since then, full time.
I see you had some cattle too on some of your videos and stuff there. What do you run for animals?
We have a purebred Charolais herd, so we raise and sell 2-year-old Charolais bulls, and then the rest of the herd is just the commercial Red Angus Char Simmental mix. So that keeps us busy pretty much all year round.
And you and your dad and some hired men, you said?
Yeah, so it's my dad and I, and we've got 2 full-time staff, and then we usually get, past couple years have been about 2 summer students that help us out. Usually they start after school kind of in May, and then we try and keep them as long as we can into the fall to help out with harvest.
So what kind of crops are you growing? You're fairly far north there, so on your grain side of things, what are you growing?
Yeah, so we grow canola, wheat, barley, oats. We've done peas in the past, but kind of quit doing that for past couple of years just because the price, and there's a bunch of talk about Aphanomyces disease, so we kind of just let the peas go. And then we do some corn for the cattle, and then this year we tried some cover crops. So we're always trying something new, see what can grow.
Grazing corn, like graze and put it on like electric fence and graze around it, or how do you do the corn?
Yeah, so we'll make corn silage, and then we don't have luck with electric fence, so we just get the chopper guy to leave 40-60 acres in each field, and then we'll let the cows in there in the wintertime just to graze it standing, and it works out pretty good for us.
Well, anything to lower the cost when it comes to feeding an animal is just more profit you can put in your pocket at the end of the day. And especially, we don't have any numbers of cows around this place, but there was quite a few years there where the cattle guys were, every last dime they had went into making feed or getting feed. So the prices are up, but I hope they need to stay up there because it's been a suffer and a grind for a lot of the cattle guys. I know that. Right, Tyler?
Oh, well, Dad often talks about the times where raising cattle, at the end of the year when he sold his calves, he barely had enough left over to buy himself a new snowsuit for the next year. So fortunately, the cattle prices are right where they need to be. We're actually making good money at them, but for the amount of work that actually goes into cattle, if somebody actually came out and seen how much is actually involved with it, they're priced accordingly. They could honestly be a bit higher.
Unless you go to Costco when you want to buy a steak or some beef, because holy man, a brisket at Costco is like $180.
And that's one thing that really surprises me. Like, Dad often talked about how the brisket used to be the throwaway. The people that didn't have any money, that's what they bought. But, I got a really good slow cooker brisket recipe that I got, and I always got to invite a few friends over to have it, and there's none left. So maybe one day, if this stays successful, Dallas and I will make a cookbook, and we'll get recipes from all our guests we've had on, and we'll make a farmer's cookbook.
Stay successful. It's got to get successful first.
Nobody shut us down yet, so I'd say we're successful.
Depends on this end, too. So, Dylan, you went on a trip here just the other day. I'd like to know more about your Alan Jackson trip. And, have you been a long-time Alan Jackson fan, or was this because of one of his last shows and you had to go?
Yeah, so recently I took a little spontaneous trip down to Florida to go see one of Alan Jackson's last concerts. So, yeah, the way it worked out was a girl on social media, TikTok, she made a video saying, I have an extra Alan Jackson concert ticket. Who wants to go with me? And we've been chatting a little bit on and off for a couple months now, so we kind of knew each other. And I said, let's go. Gotta venture off the farm if we're gonna find a soulmate. So
yeah,
took a little leap of faith. Went down there, and yeah, I've been an Alan Jackson fan forever. I mean, he's just got so many hits. Always have loved the guy. So it was, I was pretty excited about this trip. So yeah, he put on an amazing concert. It was the best concert I've ever been to, and I've been to quite a few concerts. So it was amazing to see.
It's pretty hard to beat that 80s and 90s country music. That's what I grew up listening to. I have a hard time listening to this newer pop country, so I'll get up to Spotify. I got an 80s and 90s country playlist. Some of the newer stuff I can listen to, but if I get bored of that, I open up Spotify and I'll listen to the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
I love it.
Plug for our own podcast. Sorry, Dylan, continue on.
Yeah, so we spent a couple days down there, and we did some gator sightseeing. We went to a big flea market and just enjoyed the nice Florida sun and beaches.
I noticed there Alan Jackson on his concert, somebody had a video at a different angle. It seemed like he had almost a harder time walking, and it looked like he was leaning against like a stool or something the whole time. I was wondering, could you notice that too? Or
yeah, so he does have like a disease that affects his muscles, so you can tell he's in quite a bit of pain when he's up there. And whenever he plays a song, he's leaning up against a stool, but he's in between songs, he still gets out and he's throwing t-shirts, he's walking across the whole stage, and he's just rocking it, like amazing.
That would be amazing. I'm glad I know somebody that went and seen that last one, because that would be the shame the not have went. So hate to ask you to kiss and tell, but how did the date go? Well, folks, you should see this. We have the cameras on, and Dylan's is getting redder and redder and redder. So
we'll leave it at that.
And being at spring seeding, to change subjects here a little bit, what do you have on your auction sale watch list? There's something out there you want to have before spring seeding? You can tell us, because I'm not going to bid you up and it'll be sold time this is released.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we just upgraded our seeder. We're switching over from the John Deere Conserva pack to the disc drill, which a lot of people saying we're making the wrong move there, but we just got so many rocks that we're tired of spending a month picking them, so we're going to try the disc and hopefully just leave the rocks in place. The auction, well, the semis, the Peterbilts, they always catch my eye, so maybe if we see a Pete 379 for sale somewhere, we'll have to see what it's going for, because the price of trucks has come down a lot in the past, even just 2 years, it seems. So that's
I noticed
on my list.
on Ritchie Brothers in Lethbridge right now, but there's like 6 or 7 like 2024 Pete's 389s, all flat tops, all gray and red. They're pretty sweet looking trucks. Way out of my price range, but maybe not out of your price range.
Yeah, and then being so far up north, we got quite the trek to make the haul of grain. Sometimes it's a 5-hour round trip, so that thing's got to be tip-top shape for us.
Same with me down here. My nearest stuff is an hour. Hour each way, and then, depends if we go to Swift Current or Moose Jaw or Weyburn or whatever, you could be up to 2 hours each way, so you're like 5-hour, 6-hour round trips, so you need to have them up to spec.
Okay, and do you haul that grain yourself, Dallas, or?
Yeah, me and the hired man and dad still drive some too, but you know what? Sometimes the good guys watching the markets, if you can just get a picked up contract for only costing you 20, 30 cents a bushel, at the end of the day, you're making money by not running your own stuff. But then sometimes then you have hired men you're paying, and they're looking at you what are we doing today, boss? Well, I guess we're going to go hauling because you need a paycheck and I need you around.
Yeah, And then what about you, Tyler? How far are the elevators for you?
4 miles.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I got a Viterra. Hey, if anybody's wondering what I'm yelling about, Dallas just flipped me off. So, yeah, we got a Viterra that we're very fortunate that we can haul to. It's on a 9-month primary highway, so normally I think today just our road bans came on. But it's on a 9-month primary highway. Normally we've got all our grain out. 4 miles. Most of our grain goes there. We're very fortunate that way.
Well, that's handy to have. We're 5 miles to the elevator we own.
You own an elevator?
Yeah, we own the elevator. We own 1/3 share in the old wheat pool elevator right in Glentworth. So we're splitting with 2 other guys.
You're going to have to do a video on this elevator someday.
It's on the to-do list. I made a little one last year when I was unloading quickly, but we haven't hauled out of there yet. So I want to do a good in-depth video, and the one where you set your camera up and then you go down and you make something move, and the one that takes about 9 times longer to make than what you would normally do. So it's on the plan because there's only a few hundred of them wooden elevators still standing. And I bet you there's probably less than 100 that are in as good a shape as what that one is, with the cleaner and the full scale. And it holds about 145,000 bushels in there. And it was built in 82, so it's in good old shape. And we owned it longer than the pool had it because we bought it in 99, I believe.
Now, that is a newer wood crib elevator then.
And they tore out the line. Got to be 20 some years ago they tore out the line. So, the elevator sold for, at that time, basically nothing. I think it was 20 grand for the elevator.
Was that a CP line or a CN line?
Well, out of my realm of knowledge. The engines were red, whatever that meant.
Well, that could either be CP or CN.
I'd have
we
to
need to
look.
teach you the alphabet?
Maybe. You're the one with little kids.
That's one unfortunate thing that has happened out here on the prairies. A lot of them spur lines have disappeared, and it in this area, like down at Redvers where Nick lives, it took out the elevator down there. And there's been a few other ones in the area, like just south of me. There used to be 2 rail lines. Mind you, the one went out in the 60s. It was nicknamed the Peanut Line. It went from Reston, Manitoba to Wolseley, Saskatchewan. So the very first wood crib elevator was moved in a town called Fairlight, and that's where the inland terminal is that I haul to now. It was on the CP line, and aka the Peanut Line, and they moved it across town to what is now the CN line. And they moved it in the middle of January, and they had steel beams under it, and it was about 40 below, and one of the steel beams cracked. So this elevator sat in the middle of Fairlight for 2 weeks while they waited on fir beams to come out of the north so it could handle the cold and the weight, because the steel beams they were using didn't work. But in all of Canadian history, to my knowledge and all the old timers I've talked to about it, the elevator in Fairlight was the first one ever successfully moved.
That's got to be incredibly top heavy on an elevator trying to move. There's a lot of lumber in an elevator, and it goes way up there, so it's got to be balanced and stayed square the whole time. What are you for up there for grain, hauling? You said could be an hour each way. There's no elevators kicking around any closer than that?
No, there's not. The nearest one is in Vermilion, so that's an hour by car and about an hour and a half fully loaded.
Is that a G3 or what's up there?
Yeah, they got a G3, a Pioneer, and a Viterra up in Vermilion. So a few choices there.
They all just seem to excel at giving you the least amount of money for your grain, because not too often there's ever a premium where you can get a good buck hauling to somebody else. It doesn't seem like, in my mind.
Yeah.
Is there much malt barley growing up your way, Dylan?
Guys have tried it, but they never get malt quality, so it's not very common, no.
Maybe is it just because you're a little too wet, or your growing season's a little shorter than us here in the southern part of the provinces, or?
Yeah, I think it's just our short growing season. It's short and cool, so we just don't get the heat.
Yeah, I've never said that. Our farm from where we are right now to the border is 34 miles, and I'm in Montana. So we live in a hot stretch of the prairies here. We go the other way. We can't grow malt barley because it gets too hot. We end up with a really high protein, and then it doesn't go malts. It's so funny. As a car, Dylan, you're probably 6 hours away from where I am. You can't grow malt. You're too cold. I can't grow malt. I'm too hot. There's got to be somebody around Kindersley that can grow malt barley, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it's would probably be a good diversification, but we're pretty well diversified already with the grain and the cattle. So.
And canola, you guys must grow a lot of good canola up here, though, eh? Up there?
Yeah, we do. We always have pretty decent canola crops. Last summer they kind of got a little blasted there with the heat, but might have been a little below average yield. But yeah, we always do pretty good with the canola.
Are you straight cut on your farm, or do you swath everything?
We're all straight cut right now. We always talk about cutting, but we've never had luck cutting canola. We've got a John Deere with a honeybee header on, and that thing just makes beaver huts like crazy.
So what is kind of your average canola yield? And if you don't want to say, just say good.
Yeah, we're probably around that 50 bushels an acre. Maybe last year was 30. So it's kind of what we see.
That's pretty decent if you can average 50 from year to year to year. Let's hope the price comes up a little bit, because right now these beatings we're taking on the market price are just awful.
Yeah.
I wish we sold all ours off the combine. Fortunately, we don't have very much left on our farm right now, so a little bit we got left, we'll maybe just sit on it.
Just check the board. We have 3,449 bushels left here of canola. So my great marketing skills of bidding that in 23 and then selling it now. 23 when it was $18 a bushel. We sold most of it for 14 here now. So that's follow me for more grain marketing advice, or don't follow. Do whatever I'm doing. Do the opposite.
Yeah, I was on the marketing team in college, and don't come to me for marketing advice, because none of that stuff stuck.
That must have been back in your drinking days.
Yeah, well, that might have had a little role to play there, and why nothing stuck.
And that's one thing on your TikTok account. You're not afraid to go into that at one time you had a serious drinking problem, and I'm going to pat you on the back here. You've now been sober for 4 years, which is an amazing feat for anybody that's struggled with addiction issues. So what was it that caused you to hit rock bottom and realize that you needed to turn your life around?
Yeah, well, thank you for the congratulations there. It always means so much hearing it out loud.
I'll also congratulate you too. I have family members that also quit drinking, and I know how hard that has been. And so anybody that can do it and know they had a problem and do it, I'm also going to congratulate you, because it's not easy, and it takes a lot of support on that. So good job, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, so pretty much right, when I started drinking, you start sneaking beers. For me, it was right around 16, 17, and I always had a problem with going from 0 to 100. It was all gas, no brakes. I could never just have one beer. But you always have your reasons. Back then it was, we're high school, we're young, we're just having fun. Then it moves into college, and college, there's no...
It comes with it.
Yeah, and there's no real consequences, I guess, for missing class or anything like that. So you just keep drinking. And then, kind of when I noticed it really beginning to be a problem was during COVID. So I know a lot of people, they'll blame COVID for kind of what happened, but I don't really want to place the blame on anything besides myself, right? Like I'm not going to point my fingers and say, it was because of COVID that this happened. That was right around the same time where my parents moved out of the house that I'm in to another house down the road. And like some people could say, oh, well, it was because you're all alone now. Like, I really don't like blaming anything or anybody but myself. And it just got to the point where I was drinking every night by myself in my big house, all alone. And, I'd always show up to work the next day because I live right here on the farm. And, I would just have these mental breakdowns at work. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Like, I've got too much potential to throw this all away. So I found the courage one day to call a mental health therapist. That was back in COVID, so they didn't really do the in-person therapy sessions. So mine was all just a phone call, very easy to do. You know, like, I wouldn't have to take any more time away from farming. I would just park the truck on the side of the road and talk to this girl for an hour. And I would just kind of tell her everything that had happened. And the therapist, they're not supposed to tell you to quit doing anything they're not supposed to tell you what to do, but maybe she broke the rules, or she made it so clear that drinking was the cause of most of my problems that I listened to her, and I just managed to put the bottle down for good one day. So
you just quit cold turkey?
Cold turkey, yeah.
Did you have any relapses, or were you able to just quit cold turkey and be done?
No, when I was done, I was done. I quit cold turkey, no relapses, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Except for Drink Review Tuesdays, which is the best non-alcoholic drinks out there. Anybody that doesn't know, Dylan's also part of the TikTok family that we're all involved in. And every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday, he does a drink review of whatever assorted drinks, non-alcoholic drinks. And they've been very entertaining to watch. And unfortunately, some of them have ended up in my fridge too over time now. So thanks, Dylan, for giving me some bad habits of buying expensive, hard-to-find drinks.
Yeah, that's the problem. You want to keep it interesting, so you go for all these exotic drinks, but yeah, they kind of add up. So that's why I've been trying to do some more DIY with the London fogs and making some things at home.
Oh, you did the London fog at the airport too, I seen the other day.
Yeah, had to do a Starbucks London fog review. Yeah, the airports, they can be hard for somebody who's had problems with alcohol because it's so readily available. On all my flights, they walk through the alley with the cart and they're handing out free. You get a full free beer. And I'm like, I could have one of those and nobody would know, but people would know if I had one beer up there because I'd have one more and one more.
Yeah, it's easiest just, you always hear guys saying that, I celebrated ex-girlfriend of mine way back. I think her dad went 10 years liquor free and he celebrated 10 years with a beer. And then the next day he had 2 beer. And when I was around her way 20 years ago, he was 26 to a 40 and sometimes he tried to tackle a 66 a day. But not them years before that. He was clean for all them years. So, no, you can't celebrate with that one drink because it's just right down a terrible rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is. And then, I guess kind of why I started the social media, the TikTok, is because I really wanted to give hope to others that recovery is possible. That's what saved me. Was I seen people who were down in the dumps with alcohol, drug addictions, and now I see where they're at today, and their lives are great. They got families, good businesses, they're in shape, and they don't drink. It really is that simple. You gotta quit talking about it and just do it.
Exactly. And then especially, like you said, alone in your big house. So let's hope someday you can put a companion in there and fill it full of rugrats and you'll all be good to go.
Yeah, that's the...
So you said you called that number for help. Is that like a 1-800 number? Or was that like a AA number? I'm just curiosity on that.
It was just a local mental health number. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, it was just our local number.
Okay. Because as Tyler and I mentioned, we always promote the Farm Stress line here, that 1-800-667-4442 number. And then, Saskag Matters, Saskatchewan Mental Health, there is a wealth of knowledge and information out there for help available. I've done some videos on it trying to promote all this stuff. I mean, and this is, we are not getting paid a penny by anybody on this podcast. This is 100% just what Tyler and I want to do because, drinking goes hand in hand with farm stress. I mean, this is a very stressful career that we're all involved in, and they go hand in hand, and they shouldn't. But some people cannot control the farm stress, and they end up at the bottom of a bottle. And firsthand that just makes terrible, and everything goes downhill from there. So I applaud you, and if anybody ever needs help, there's numbers, Google them, they'll be there. There'll be somebody there almost all the time on these 1-800 numbers. If you don't get the right number, the operator you have will probably lead you to the number you need to get to.
Yeah,
and under the branch of Saskag Matters, you are eligible for up to 6 hours of free counseling. So don't be afraid to reach out for help if you feel you need help. There are professionals. They don't have call display. They won't even ask you for your name if you don't want to reveal your name. Don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Yeah, and I really can't stress that enough, is just picking up the phone and asking for help. I talk to a lot of people that are maybe still struggling, and I'm like, they're just going to help you see things more clearly and be able to help you out. You can probably do it on your own. I know we're a pretty tough bunch, but they're just going to be able to make you see things just a little bit more clearly and help you solve those problems up a little faster.
And that's a stereotype we have to get past in agriculture. Oh, we're big, tough farmers. We're big, tough ranchers. No, we're not. We're all people. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. We all have problems. And that's why if you can't come forward with your problems, you'll never beat them. They'll beat you. So, if you have problems, call them numbers. Look it up.
I feel like part of the reason why there is such a stigma is farming is a very hands-on, 365, every hour of the day job. Whether we've lost a family member or we're dealing with some stress, most times we still got to get up the next day and go to work to keep that farm alive. And I think that's a lot of where we're just big, tough farmers. We have to deal with it. Sometimes we do got to step back and take that time to look after ourselves. Because if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to look after your farm.
Yeah, that's right.
And especially got animals, and then, because we can't, in a farming operation, and we all have cattle on the place, you can't get away from your problems. You're calving 24/7 within feet of your house. It's a different lifestyle than the people in the city that have a 9 to 5. And when you leave your job, you drive home, you're done. There's no work connected to you at home. But some people there are, but most jobs they aren't. You're not connected to that job when you're at home. But here in rural Canada, the cattle are from here, they're 400 feet to the north of the house here. We're calving. We only have 11, but we're still calving. You still have to watch them. You still got to careful. You still got to feed them. You got to make sure everything's good. 40 below, you got to check your waterers. The last thing I want to do when it's 40 below in a hurricane in southern Saskatchewan is check a waterer and make sure I have fresh water. But you have to, and that stuff all gets stressful.
Yeah.
So shifting gears here, Dylan, have you started calving yet on your farm?
No, we haven't. Thankful Dad switched calving to on grass probably, it's getting to be about maybe 30 years ago now. So we start calving May 1st.
Okay, so
we're all going to be out in the pasture.
So what time does seeding normally start for you? It has to be later if you're starting your calving in beginning of May.
Yeah, no, it makes for a pretty hectic month. We usually start maybe around the 10th of May, but it's May is a crazy month around here with both seeding and calving going on.
And you calve everything on the prairie, or do you keep some in pens as well?
They're all out on the prairies.
Okay.
And obviously good luck and success doing that, and even for heifers and stuff, all out there, eh?
All out there, yeah. Our cows, they spend about a couple days in the pens a year, one at preg checking and once for branding, so they're not in the pens very much.
So you've mentioned before you're fairly far north. Do you have problems with wolves or just mainly coyotes?
The wolves, we haven't had any problems with wolves yet. They are around, but we try and keep a pretty tight leash on the predator control, so we got a guy that's been snaring on our place for 15 years. Yeah, that is another issue, with calving out on grass. It's a different set of problems, and predators are one of them. So last year we maybe had the highest loss to predators, coyotes, we've ever had. We actually had to get the game warden out here, and we asked him what the heck's going on, because they would grab a calf and there's a big trail of blood, and we didn't know what the heck was going on. So he came out and he just came to the conclusion that it was coyotes that took him. So,
and I think once a coyote gets a taste for that, fresh kills, it just becomes their next nature is just want to have a fresh kill. Because sometimes we've had coyotes, they'll be right in the corrals here, don't have a problem, but then the next guy over, they'll get a coyote, will get the taste for killing calves, and that's all they'll do.
And do you guys have any other kind of wildlife problems there?
Mainly just coyotes. At my place, they're not really too much of a problem. We actually have a bounty for them in RM currently, so if we do see a coyote and it's up near the pens, somehow it ends up with a lead injection. But we'll leave that at that. But it's not a huge problem in our area. just because there is enough hunting that goes on.
Well, this isn't TikTok, Tyler. We can actually say words like gun and YouTube, and well, suicide's a bad one, but you can't say that on TikTok. Or we've discovered now with this podcast, you can't say podcast or Spotify in a TikTok video. TikTok won't put it in the algorithm. I mean, Tyler and I did a video here the other day. The two of us went back and forth in the video. It was a cool video. And I don't think that video has 1,000 views between the 5 people that were in that video. If you notice that anytime, Dylan, certain words in a video will kill your video.
I've had it where I've shown a cow patty, and that affects the performance of the video. That gets flagged for whatever reason. Showing a cow pie, they don't like that.
Well, Dallas, you just recently had a video get flagged of your daughter riding a quad with, she was wearing a helmet, she had long sleeves, long pants on, she was riding safely, she wasn't driving around like a jackass, and it got flagged on you.
Oh yeah, I sent that in for review, and first of all, they took it down right away off the bat, and then I had it reviewed, and then they put it back up, but it's only people like Dylan and Tyler can see it, but only friends can see it. It's not in the For You page, it's just in the following page. So, and that's what I've noticed that just irks me to the highest here. I made a video trying to promote the farm stress line, and I mentioned suicide in that video because that's a major factor in agriculture is suicide. I think farmers have one of the highest rates of suicide in the world. And I said suicide in that video, and boom, that video got 500 views. That video should have done way better than 500 views. That's the SA, the sexual assault. I mean, there is a lot of bad words that you shouldn't say in a video. But when you're trying to promote the farm stress line and you mention suicide, it's the exact opposite of what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help. And in my mind, it almost makes it worse. Because, I mean, that things are supposed to help. I mean, there's some terrible words. The big N word, you can't say. I'll never say that in the video. Not a factor. The big C word, I won't say it. Not a factor. But a lot of the other ones are part of life that we have to deal with and we have to get past. That's what makes me so mad is they're taking down stuff that they shouldn't take down. I mean, a picture of a cow shit, and that's taken down. Or whatever. Or, my daughter in a quad, taken down. I mentioned, well, and obviously TikTok doesn't want people to go away from their platform. So if you mention YouTube, it kills your video, and Instagram, it's the same way. There's certain catchwords in there that they hear them in the video. They're just part of the algorithm. They'll just drop them views right off. You'll just see on your data chart, just go straight down. Like once they see them words, it's done, which is just maddening.
Yeah,
it is frustrating because we are trying to raise awareness to help people, and they're more worried about, I don't even know what the right word is for it. The right way that the world should see things, I guess. I don't know.
And until you learn all them metaphors...
Politically correct. That's the word I'm looking for.
Politically correct. Until you learn all the words. You can't say gun in a video, but you can say pew pew, sort of thing, which just is maddening.
Yeah, and I've had it where, I've shown a cow with... One time we had to get a cow. She had an infected eye, so we brought her to the vet. The vet took it out and sewed her eye shut. I showed that on a video, and I tried to tell TikTok that it was just a Halloween decoration, but it did eventually get taken down for graphic content. So
yeah, I had one this winter. I come across 2 deer that had a chunk of wire. I think it was actually like a bin lid opener wire. They looked like the handle was on there. Well, they were basically tied together with this chunk of wire between their horns. One was dead, one was alive. The whole video was freeing the live deer. I had the game warden come out there, and he shot the horn off the dead deer, and the live one ran away alive. The coyotes were already eating on the dead one. It was probably been pretty awful 48 hours of that live deer's life, dragging this dead deer he's tied to with a wire. And so I had to make sure I had the game warden out of the video. When he shot, it was, I basically edited the sound out, but I showed that dead deer and instantly flagged and taken down. So I've had a lot of videos get flagged and taken down. So I think that's the reason I get in trouble easier. I've had so many violations, which, I don't want any more violations because I've worked hard to get my, followers up to where I'm at and viewers at where I'm at. And, there's no money in it, but it's still, I just don't want to start over again at zero. I kind of like when I'm in the group that I'm in and I got the followers I have and I'm going forward and having fun with my little hobby. And and here they flag it because I showed a dead deer. I didn't kill that deer. If anything, my video should be kept up because I saved that live deer's life. He would have died unless I did something to try to free him.
Yeah, I think TikTok is one of the softer apps. You can't show too much of the guns and blood and stuff like that on there.
It'll be interesting because isn't TikTok supposed to go away for our American friends again here shortly? I thought it was supposed to go away again.
Would they have a 90-day exemption that they had there? So
something like that, yeah. So it'll be interesting if it actually does go away to see what app replaces it, and maybe it'll be a lot less politically correct.
I just wish they made Facebook Reels a little bit longer because I have a hard time getting a video down to 90 seconds for a Facebook Reel. But I'm almost in the conclusion that Facebook Reels have no boundaries in there. I think anything can go on a Facebook Reel. But 90 seconds is a pretty short little video. But I've had Facebook Reel videos hit 1 million views before, so it's possible. As soon as TikTok banned that one of my daughter on the quad, or had it up for review or whatever, I just re-edited it, shrunk it down, made it a Facebook Reel, and within a few hours it was 2,000 views. And I don't got many followers on Facebook because my Facebook, I started off when Facebook began just under my own name, under Dallas LeDuc. But on TikTok, I am everyone knows Dallas because that's just my sister come up with that saying, and I've went with that one, and I've had a ball with that one. And it seems like you probably notice the same thing too, Dylan. You go out and about, you get to the big city or whatever, and how often do you get recognized?
Yeah, more often than I ever thought I would be.
And it's a humbling, and I love it and I appreciate it when everybody walks up and want to shake my hand and say they enjoy my videos. I mean, that I don't do it for that, but I appreciate that, and I thank everybody that's come up. The only weird thing is when people want to have their picture taken with me. My wife doesn't like having her picture taken with me. Nevertheless, strangers want to have their pictures taken with me. But you know what? If you like my content and you think I'm doing good and you want to have your picture taken with me, I'll gladly do it.
Yeah, same with me.
Especially if they're cute, right, Dylan? The cuter, the better. In case anybody's wondering.
But unfortunately, we're at the farm show down in Red Deer this year, and I was with some friends, and they're like, yeah, like, you getting an awful lot of guys coming up to you and asking for pictures, Dale, but no girls. So I don't know how to switch that around.
I don't know how you get into the women's,
you just got to get a golden retriever dog or something, and that'll bring them all around for you.
Yes. Well, that's what Tanner Lang, the Tanner Talk, did a video years ago saying if you're a guy in agriculture and you build your account up to 50,000 or whatever, that's hard to do with somebody in agriculture. But if you get some good-looking gal dancing around, tight jeans, some cool songs, and have no content except for dancing in tight pants, they'll be at 200,000 followers. Which is it's good for them. Congrats for getting that. That's for me. I've worked at this for like 4 years for 40,000 followers, and they're at 200,000 followers in 5 videos with some good-looking wranglers. But it's a funny world that way. So maybe you need some tight-looking wranglers and do some dancing out there. I'm not gonna watch it, but there might be a group out there that want to watch it and follow you. So I think you got to change up your look there a little bit.
Yeah.
Get some Magic Mike stuff going.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing, I try and keep it real life, but I have found it where, I'm kind of living my life almost just to make content, and I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. It's something to occupy my time, to change my genre. I've noticed now since I started at the TikTok, and I do a lot of talking into my phone and stuff, and now with this podcast, now I find I can stand in front of a group of people and talk. And 5 years ago, that wasn't happening. I was stage fright. The words would come out more jumbled than they come out now. So if anything, I think the TikTok has improved my, if you could call it stage presence or being able to public speak presence, is improved. And I was a shy youngster when I grew up, so now this has really opened me up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know for me, it's definitely, I've tried to always make sure our farm is presentable because, you never know when you're going to shoot a video. So I try and have everything looking clean, even the way I dress. I used to not really care what I wore on the farm, but now I'm making sure my hoodies and my jeans look half decent because
It's
you
a
never
bunny
know.
hug.
Definitely a bunny hug. Saskatchewan, it's a bunny hug. You can get away with that being that you're from Alberta, but in Saskatchewan, it's a bunny hug.
Yeah,
And I noticed that too. I'll make a few videos. I'm like, I gotta change this bunny hug. I've like 4 videos in a row with the same bunny hug. People are gonna think I never change clothes or shower. And part of the problem is I have identical bunny hugs. I just take one off and put the exact same one back on.
You'll have to get multiple different colors once we get some merch out.
Here's a question: you interested in some merch? We're gonna do bunny hugs. A round of bunny hugs. We're gonna see how that goes.
okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in some.
We're trying to find like a supplier that's willing to basically do it for us. Like down in the States, I think it was at Farm Focused. Down in the States is a big one, works with the big content creators and stuff. And basically they look after everything. They print, they ship, they do everything. The orders go right to them. We don't have time to be playing around doing that. I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. And, you know, Quick Dick is a good one. If you get something from Dixon there, he has packaged that and drove the Tufnell and mailed it to you himself. I don't got time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should ask Dixon if he'll do our merch for us. You know, why not?
There's an idea.
I don't think that man sleeps. Have you ever met him yet? Quick Dick McDick? Real name Dixon DeLorme?
No, I haven't met him yet.
He is quite the character.
If you have a chance to go to one of his shows, go to them. They are amazing. They are rated R for anybody listening. Don't take your kids to them unless he specifies this is a show for kids. And if you're easily offended, his show isn't for you. But if you got a sense of humor and you can leave it at he's just joking, he is amazing to go to. And he's actually a pretty good singer, too.
Yep. But it's surprising when you go to his shows and you see him in his Quick Dick uniform or his hat. He's got his boots tucked into his jeans and he's got the 5 beer lined up on the stage. And that's his performance. But when he's driving down the road and you're just shooting the shit, talking to him on the phone, just like talking to you boys here. It's just like talking to any other farmer. But when he puts on that Quick Dick character, he's game on.
Oh, okay. So that's you kind of a little bit more of a character that he's created.
I think that's more of a character because, you know, when he goes Quick Dick McDick, he's that fast talking, witty. Well, he's always witty to begin with, but you know, that's a character. But his real name is Dixon DeLorme. He's a hell of a nice guy. He's gonna come on the podcast here. We were supposed to have him on a month ago, but scheduling's never worked out for all of us to be together at the same time. But no, he's a hell of a nice guy. Like, not only is the Quick Dick McDick character great, the Dixon DeLorme character is also awesome.
Yeah, no, he's really doing a good job because I see Quick Dick McDick hats even up here in Bonnyville. So he's sure out there.
And he is bringing a lot of awareness to agriculture in our prairie provinces. He talks a lot about Canadian products you can buy or Saskatchewan products. He really promotes that. He even drinks, out of all Canadian beers he could drink, he drinks Great Western, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the old original 16.
Terrible beer, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
You forget we're talking to somebody that doesn't drink, Tyler.
Right.
But that's one thing, you know, and you've had to deal with that, you know, all your years sober now. I mean, you're going to be around people that are going to drink, or else you're going to be a hermit and live under a rock. So you can't do that. So you have to learn how to live in, like you said, in the airports, it's tough. I mean, you go to something, I mean, there's probably booze all over the place when you go to Alan Jackson's. Of course, it'd be ridiculously expensive. So quitting drinking at that time would probably seem like a cheap thing to do.
Yeah. But
what was the beer worth down there? Just for, I know you didn't buy any, but just for curiosity, do you see what they're priced at?
To be honest, no. But I'd say it's similar to here, but just US dollars. So add the exchange rate. Yeah, no, I wasn't picky on my beers. Anything that was wet was good enough for me.
Went back in your drinking days. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I found when I was single years ago and living alone. I found I had headaches for about 3 or 4 years. Pretty common there. And it wasn't until I got with my wife and I started drinking less. I didn't have headaches, I didn't have migraines, so I had hangovers every morning, is what I noticed back when I was younger. You know, there was times there where I know, looking back now, that I drank way too much when I shouldn't have been drinking. Because drinking alone is that's the root of all evil, I think, most of the time, too.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't really see a benefit in it. It's expensive, it's not good for you, but, you know, I don't have any problems with the people who can drink responsibly, you know. If you can go have a couple beers around a fire with the boys, like, good on you, go for it. I don't have any issues with alcohol. You know, I don't have a grudge against it or anybody that does drink. So
And one thing that you use to help yourself from stop drinking, you've mentioned this in some of your TikToks, you went to sugary drinks.
yeah, when I first quit, they say we jump from one addiction to the next, and sugary drinks, like energy drinks, was kind of my thing that I went to. I was having probably way too many of those, but they were better than any alcoholic drink. And 4 years later, we're slowly starting to cut back on those and focus a little bit more on being a little healthier.
So what is the healthy drink of the day? What's the kick these days?
I gotta say it's the London Fog. The sparkling waters, they're not for me. They don't taste very good. I think a London Fog is a healthy drink. You can make it at home and it's not going to cost you too much.
So what is exactly? Break it down to people that don't know what a London Fog is. What is a London Fog? If you can make it at home. Maybe I want to go make one right now.
Yeah, it's Earl Grey tea and some milk and some vanilla flavoring.
What are the portions of each? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Oh, that's what I'm still trying to figure out, what makes the best London Fog.
You just go to
I'm sure we'll see a
Starbucks
TikTok about it soon.
You just go to Starbucks and get the Grand London Fog, and the ratios are right. Or Grande, or whatever they call. They're large.
Yeah, they got fancy names there. But yeah, the London Fog in Bonneville, Alberta at Sugar Bell Antiques is one of the best ones I've ever had so far. And I'm not paid to say that.
And it always makes me kind of laugh and smile a little bit. My mother's maiden name was Bonneville. So I've listened to that name my entire life. I don't think I've ever drove through Bonneville, but, my grandparents were Bonnevilles. And, so I'm definitely got an Alberta connection. My last name's Leduc, and my mother's maiden name was Bonneville. So
yeah, you're... had me fooled there. I thought you were from Leduc.
And actually, the other day, my wife seen a trivia question of all the places in the world with the name Dallas. I thought there was just one, Texas. I think there's 9 cities or towns throughout the world, like 8 in the States and 1 in Scotland, all with the town name of Dallas, which I thought was just mind-blowing. And I got a cousin, his name is Devin Leduc, and he's got a picture of the intersection in Alberta where you can go to Leduc or Devon. And it's just like in 2 signs, Devin Leduc.
Might be a nice road sign for the garage.
Yeah. It's a picture of him with the sign, and the picture wasn't taken in his basement. I think it was actually at the intersection. How are you for crime up there in northern Alberta? Fairly good, or lock the doors at night?
Our farm's located down a dead-end road, so we seem to be good right where we're at. But, everywhere around here, it happens. There's just stolen trucks, cars, stuff like that is kind of always going on. So, yeah, it's not the best, but our farm seems to be good.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed, too. We farmed the land on the Wood Mountain Reservation, and that's one of the best in Canada for no crime, and everybody there is awesome. We had a young hired man that had to come from a reservation up north, and at the end of the day when we're leaving, he's like, well, do we lock up everything and take all the tools out of stuff and the radios out of stuff? And I'm like, no. This is one of the safest places on the planet. Like, this stuff is fine. It's probably safer here than most other places we farm, but I'm pretty lucky down here. Touch wood on this podcast that things don't change, but I've been very fortunate for that.
We have a little bit in our area, not too bad. We've had some instances of people coming into the yard at night. Fortunately, those times, to our knowledge, nothing went missing. But I do have farmers that I know in the area that have had trucks stolen, fuel stolen, tools stolen. My dad even has a friend where they stole a tractor to go pull a truck out that they stole, and they busted the hood off the tractor in the process of doing it. So that was very unfortunate for him. So it is around in this area. It's more prevalent once seeding kind of has started and there's equipment out and about, but not so much in the winter.
Yeah, it all depends. And I would always think the closer you get to a major city, probably the higher the crime rate's going to be. And especially in the cities. I mean, city people come out here and they lock their car and they come in the house because it's just such a habit. Out here, if you take the keys out of the vehicle, I'm just pissed off because I can't find them. And well, they're in the house so they can use the command start or whatever. But it's like they should be left in the ignition where I know where they are.
Yeah, that's our hiding spot too, is in the ignition.
Yeah, well, it's very sad how it has changed, because when I was in high school, I left the keys in the ignition of my half ton in town in the high school parking lot. Now I wouldn't dare do that because some young kid would think, oh, I'm going to take this for a joyride. He'll never know. Or Mooseman's right on a main highway. So there is a bit of riffraff that comes off the main highway too. So maybe that's part of the reason why I see a little bit of it in my area. But unfortunately, it is what it is. And with our laws, there's really nothing we can do by not being a police officer or somebody in the power of law to do anything about it.
Yes, and that's one thing that I find we're short too. And out here, our local detachment, they're always down a member or two, and they're never at full strength. You know, I often joke, if you see a cop down in this part of the world, he's lost and he's just looking for directions to get back home.
And that is the unfortunate thing. Like in the city, they whine and moan that they don't have enough police in some areas. Well, what about us out here in the prairies? If I call for police and somebody's breaking into my house, I'd be lucky if I seen a police officer in an hour, just because our local detachment, they're sharing members with another detachment that's 3/4 of an hour away, just because there's not enough members to go around anymore.
Yeah, I'm the same over here. I'm on the 3 closest police would be Pontex, Gravelberg, and Assiniboia, and they're basically all 45 minutes to an hour. And so time you called that in, it's an hour.
And we don't mean this in any negative way to anybody in law enforcement. We have full respect. These are just facts.
Yeah, and it's been tough times in law enforcement. There's been so many things that drag them down. You know, the drawing card for young guys, you know, to head into law enforcement, the last little bit isn't there. You know, the pay's not good. The hours aren't good. The first thing you do when you become an RCMP officer, they send you the tuck up north so you can just be away from everybody you ever met your entire life. Like there's a lot of downsides. I think the guys that are in it, the guys and gals that are in it, they're great. They just need more people to want to take that, you know, career choice.
One thing I feel is part of a problem is police aren't allowed to be police. They're so worried about making one little mistake because everybody's got a camera now. So when the police are out, there's always that one person that's got to have their phone out on them, recording every step they make. So they're so worried about making one tiny error that's going to get them in trouble. They're not being able to police the way they should be able to police.
Yeah. And then you get the Karen neighbors or whoever that all started off there, but there's always somebody that just wants to argue with them and play devil's advocate the entire time and just argue to argue. Yes, you know, you see the videos, they're outright, they're caught, they're speeding, it's nothing. But they want to argue, they don't want to roll down their windows, they're in a sovereign state. Those are just goofy. That's where you want to just turn off your camera, take them outside, and smack them outside the head.
You're probably young enough to remember when the cops actually did that with people that just needed a quick attitude adjustment, Dallas.
Well, I needed that attitude adjustment, but I never got it that way. They did mine the old-fashioned way by removing my driver's license for a period of months in a row, a few times. But you know what? When they took my license away, I lost my license twice, for 2 months one time and 6 months the next time. And look back at that now, most likely them yanking my license probably saved my life. And probably saved somebody else's life too, because I was down a path of excessive speed and stupidity. So them taking my license away was a good thing. So people that lose their license, they've lost it for a reason. And it's a good reason, you know. Learn from your lessons and, you know, life will go on. If you lose your license for 6 months, who cares? It's an inconvenience, but that's way better than all the other alternatives.
I do have a few buddies who have had impairs, and they said, I'm glad I did it when I was young, and I'm glad I didn't hurt anybody, because I've sure as shit learned something from it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Mine weren't impaired. I have, the first time was for too many tickets, just in general, too many speeding tickets and other tickets. And the second time was for a dangerous driving, which was excessive speed. I was about 70 over the speed limit in the rain in a 77 Chevy Malibu.
You deserve to have that ticket.
Oh yeah, I got a list of dumb things I did. That's why I don't feel as old as I look or I am, because I'm so immature.
Yeah, I remember one time coming home from a party. There was I was the DD, and thankfully I had nothing to drink. But yeah, we were speeding a little bit, and a cop pulled us over and breathalyzed me. Blue zero, but he made us do push-ups on the side of the road because I was speeding. That kind of put a little bit of fear in me, and was a good lesson.
That's a good cop right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good cop. Necessarily you're speeding, but you're doing the right thing in one thing. So he didn't nail you. He just, okay, I'm going to screw with these kids.
Yeah. You do push-ups.
My dad always talks about the story, because my dad, he grew up in the late 60s and 70s and into the 80s, and he'd talk about how all his buddies and that, they'd be drinking in downtown Fairlight. Well, all of them were underage. The cop would come around and say, okay, kids, get out of town here where I can't find you. You're all underage and you're in public space. Get out of town. So he'd say, I'm coming back in an hour. And if you're all still here, somebody's getting a ticket. So anyways, he's not coming back. An hour later, the cop rolls around. Well, I told you all to leave, so one of you is getting a ticket. So he goes to the back of somebody's truck, digs around, finds the type of beer he likes. Okay, whose beer is this? Okay, you're coming with me. You're getting a ticket. Case of beer went in the jump seat of the cop car. That guy got a ticket, and away he went.
I was same story. I was driving around town. We weren't drinking. We were just cruising around town during daylight hours, and I didn't even see the cop in town. But I drove out of town. I had a buddy riding with me, and I had a little pickup truck, and it could do some pretty greasy burnouts. Drove about a mile out of town, and then just laid like a 200-foot squiggly, ziggly burnout. And all of a sudden, through all the smoke behind us, I never seen them coming. The red and blues come on through all that smoke. I'm like, I am so beyond screwed at this point. I'm thinking, like, I don't know what this ticket's going to be, but it's going to be massive stunting or something dumb. Pull over. Cop comes walking up behind me, and he's shaking his head, and I said, knew I was guilty. And I was just thinking, whoa, how bad's the ticket's going to be? And he said, no ticket. I seen you driving around town. I'm glad you drove out of town and did this, and you didn't piss nobody off out here. So his only question was, how do you do that? How do you make it make so much smoke? Well, it's just a whole lot of throttle and just the right amount of brake, and you ride the brake and you zig and you zag. He was more in tune at how I was doing it than the fact that I was doing it, and he was just happy that I didn't do it where I was pissing anybody off. I always take that as I've never had a cop ask me how I did a burnout before, but yep. At least there's no ticket that time. Well, I get lots of other tickets for stuff, but I'm pretty happy I don't have one for that.
I should have had many tickets, but I've never had a ticket for a driving offense. I've had a written warning once, but that's the extent I've gone to for driving anyway.
You, Dylan, any tickets?
No, a couple speeding tickets, but I don't know, you must drive quite fast because you seem to get a lot of them, Dallas.
I went in front of the review board back when they had that years ago. Each ticket is points. I think after 20 points, you go in front of the review board. Well, time they called me in there, I think I was at 60 points or something stupid like that. And then it's a panel of people, and they belittle you, and they tell you how you're doing is so stupid. And, they did what they're supposed to do. And they bring you the tears. And then they yank my license for 2 months that time. But at the end of it, they're doing the paperwork up, and well, do you have any outstanding tickets? What do you mean by outstanding tickets? Like tickets you've got that you haven't paid yet. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys don't know yet. They're going to lose their mind when I tell them, yeah, I got 7 this weekend. So I got 7 that one weekend. And then they just yanked my license for 2 months. These tickets weren't in the system yet. So they yanked my license for 2 months. And then I got it back for 2 months. But then I went to court and they pled all them tickets down to 1 dangerous driving, and then they yanked my license for 6 more months. And I'm not too proud to tell this story because this is, I got 7 tickets in a weekend, and that was kind of a normal for me. So them yanking my license saved multiple lives probably by them doing that. So, when somebody yanks your license, they're doing it for a reason.
How long ago was this, Dallas? Was it?
You weren't even thought of yet, my friend. This would have been, I would have been in my teens, 18, 19 years old. So that would have been, probably got my first ticket in 93, 94, 95, 96 was all them tickets. So that was a lot of them. And I didn't even have that fast of a car, but if you just kept your foot wedged in it long enough, it would get up there.
What was your first car or truck?
A 77 Malibu 4-door was my first $200 car that I bought myself. I mean, Dad had trucks and stuff on the farm. He had a nice 80 half-ton I wish we still owned. I drove when I was younger, but I had my own job either on the farm or working for other farmers, so I had my own money. So I bought my own first Malibu and a lift kit in the back end that I made myself with gears out of a Case Planetary underneath the springs and extended the shock mounts, and I had the back end of that thing up about 4.5 feet in the air, followed by the nose just being planted. If you drove on a tracked out grid road, you would basically push gravel with the bumper. Like, it was so obnoxiously stupid and terribly set up.
Gasser look to it.
It had a big gasser look to it with a 305 Chevy in there. But I'm glad I only had a 305 because a 350 I might have got it in trouble. Dylan, what was your first set of Hot Wheels?
2004 Chevy half-ton, black extended cab. Yeah. Yep.
Were you driving by Brooks and Medicine Hat a few weeks ago? Because I ended up racing some kid on the highway there with a black extended cab '04 Chevy.
No, that truck we polished her off on the farm, so it's no longer driving, unfortunately.
Tyler, I guess we've never crossed this border either, but what have you got for your first wheels?
My first set of wheels was a 2007 GMC Canyon. Two-wheel drive. I went everywhere. My buddies had four-wheel drives. I went everywhere with that two-wheel drive that my buddies went with their four-wheel drives. So the thing was so light, but it's kind of a good thing in a way because Dad said, well, your first vehicle, I'm not getting you a four-wheel drive. You're going to learn how to drive. So, and I am grateful for my dad helping me out with my first vehicle and it being a two-wheel drive because it made me into a much better driver that I am today.
Well, that's it. Back in, the up to like 88, a four-wheel drive pickup was just a big, cumbersome, gas-guzzling pickup. It isn't until Chevy come out with the 88 style and newer that you actually get a reasonably fuel mileage, good-looking four-wheel drive pickup. But that's my area of pickup. I mean, my ultimate pickup is if I could go to Nelson GM tomorrow and order a brand new pickup, I want a 97 Silverado extended cab, Z71 with buckets and leather. Now you can't get anything but fancy options. And these new vehicles are so tinny and so junky and so light. That's my two. My ultimate vehicle, that's what I want. I mean, I have two of them. One I rolled and one I still have.
Okay.
You don't ride with me. So Dylan, we're winding her down here, but I just got to know a little bit more about your dating life. I've seen some videos where you had a post office box and you were getting love letters from the ladies. How has that turned out for you?
Yeah, so to my surprise, I actually received quite a few love letters. Everyone is always talking about how dating in this generation sucks. So I said, let's wind it back a couple years and date like 1930s. So I gave the internet my post office box and I said, if you want to contact me, you send me a letter. And quite a few of them reached out and they even wrote the date as July 2nd 1930. It was pretty cute.
Do you want to throw the old post office box and address on here?
Sure. So I can be found at, if you want to date in this generation, it's Dylan Tellier on TikTok. But if you want to go back a couple generations, my post office box is 7185 Bonnyville, Alberta, T9N 2H5.
So for anybody listening in the States, that's our postal code, or that would be in comparison to your zip code.
Yeah, I recommend everybody that gets this, preferably the female gender, bombard Dylan. Send him a letter. Make sure you seal it with a kiss. Red lipstick preferably. Send it off to him because I know he'll share them with us. It'll be awesome. And you never know. True love could just be one podcast away.
There you go.
But I got to thank you, Dylan. I really appreciate you coming on here. This whole podcast, we're so appreciative of all the guys that we've had on here. We're hoping to get some female guests on here really soon. But we've really had a really ball with this. And, we've mainly been talking into, for the most part, social media type people, TikTok, YouTubers and stuff. But we are going to lead down some different paths with people still in agriculture, but not just on social media. We don't have to have you don't have to have 10,000 TikTok followers to be on this podcast. We just want to find some cool ass people that got great farming backgrounds and great farming stories, and then we want to talk to you on here because in my mind this isn't an interview. It's just like, we're all in different rooms in different parts of the country, but it's just like we're sitting around the table just BSing over a hot London fog.
This is my first podcast, so it's neat to get out of the TikTok world and see what the podcasting is all about.
And Tyler and I, we just doing this just for our own, to see where it can lead to. And then, we're also, both of us really are big onto the SAS mental health side and farm stress line and knowing that we're all in this together. And then there's more out there than, the terrible things that can happen if you don't get help.
Yeah, well, I really like what you guys are standing up for. I like what you guys are promoting here and bringing light to Canadian agriculture.
And once again, that farm stress line number is 1-800-667-4442.
And we didn't even much get into a lot of farm machinery on Dylan's farm. I guess we'll have to have you back because only we know is we'll have to wait till after spring seeding's done. Have to see how that disc drill performed for you, and then we never got into the rest of your machinery or any of that stuff around there. So there's a lot more we need to find out about Mr. Dylan here.
Yeah, we'll see if you There might be a John Deere Distral up for sale, but hopefully not.
Well, if you do, I recommend a Vatterstad.
Yeah, that's our neighbors have one of them, and they love that thing. But I don't know if we can get away from the green.
Well, then you have to go to a Deermaster.
Yeah, we might. We'd be more open to do that.
I'm just trying to make Tyler not walk all the way off that old Borgo plank and splash into the ocean, because he's pretty transfixed on the old mechanical 5720s with a chain drive tank, and the old Borgo, the French meat grinder. That's why you don't grow any peas and lentils, because you know the tank's going to ruin them all.
What works for us might not work for you. That's what we're all about here on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing that we've majorly discovered, is we've only this realm within, 500 miles of my home base, basically. How vastly different agriculture is from where I'm at, to Tyler, to Dylan, to Kale, to Travis, to Nick, to Tony, to Tanner. Those have been all the guests so far. How every one of these farms is relatively close, but vastly different in machinery, land, crops, productions. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned so much just from being on social media and just showing our operation, and everybody chimes in and says what they do, and sometimes it's like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I don't know why we haven't tried that, but we tried, and it really helps us out on our farm.
Well, that's one thing I noticed. I re-edited or uploaded today that vacuum cleaner video of mine, where we changed that fuel sight hose on the tank of the tractor. It split in the middle. It's a dumb design to begin with, but it was split and it was leaking, and we had it covered with tape to slow the leak down. But we stuck a vacuum cleaner in the top of the fuel tank, turned it on, plugged the top hose so it couldn't suck air. Well, we pulled the bottom hose right off there. The tank's 3/4 full. It didn't lose a drop of fuel while that vacuum cleaner was sucking at the top of the tank. Put the hose on, reconnected it, and turned the vacuum cleaner off. That just went straight to 3/4 of a tank. The old vacuum cleaner trick. But I learned that from Tony Fast when he was doing thermostats in a cat. So I stole that idea from him. I'm sure he stole it from somebody else. So the amount of knowledge you can learn off this social media so fast. Or if you have a question, you make a video, you shoot it on there, or you answer somebody's video, boom, it's done. It's surprising.
Yeah. If you could deal with a little bit of negativity, it's going to be a good thing to put yourself out there on social media, because, boy, I've learned a lot and gained a lot of connections like you guys.
And the negativity, some days I'll be sitting in the lineup at the elevator and I'll be scrolling through followers, and there's a lot of people that I've blocked and that'll never be able to watch my stuff, because some people, they don't need to know what my tricks and secrets are. I'd have way more followers if I didn't have so many guys blocked, but oh well.
Yeah, I should block a few more people, but I always say they're good engagement. They're just boosting my views, but
yeah, nothing but yeah. It's just hit block.
Yeah, it's not worth the headache.
No, sometimes the people that troll and just comment a stupid comment, I'll go with less interaction and say goodbye to you forever. You can now listen to me on the Bunny Hug Farmers, podcast on Spotify if you want any more information from me, because you're not finding me on TikTok. And I guess we should be, or we're getting her up there in length there, folks. We appreciate everybody listening to this. Tyler and I have learned a lot. Every episode, I think we're getting better. We're figuring out how to make this sound right, look right. So I thank you, Tyler, so much for doing all this hard work. And I thank you, Dylan, for coming on and joining us. We're the Bunny Hug Farmers on Spotify. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. We're hoping to do more. We got some great guests lined up, and we're going to go from there. So thanks, guys.